G'day everyone, how's it going? It's Alex from iHealth Saunas coming to you excited and electric from our head office here in Melbourne. This video is all about EMF, electromagnetic fields. In this video, we'll go back to school and learn about the physics and science of electromagnetic fields, electromagnetic radiation, and provide important context for those of you who are confused about EMF. We'll look at regular household devices and measure their EMF. We'll cover the EMF in our saunas and any possible health implications associated with EMF in general. The goal of this video is to make EMF simple for you to understand so you can make an informed decision not just about sauna, but about any new electronic device or components you bring into your life. So let's get to it. The physics and the science. So, welcome to class. I know a little bit about the physics associated with electricity and EMF, as I studied mechanical engineering and therefore had to endure a few units on electrical engineering. What we need to understand is that an EMF, electromagnetic field, is created whenever there is an electron moving. Electricity is electrons moving through a cable. Example, you flick a light on at the switch, electrons travel up the cable, literally bumping into one another until the first electron moves through the light itself, and then we have light. It's a little bit more complicated than that, but that's the basics. And it all happens very quickly. When an electron moves, an EMF is then created. An electron moves up the cable in this direction. An EMF is then created in a clockwise direction around the direction of the electrons. We used to do this in physics where the thumb was the direction of the electron, and then the way that your fingers would curve around represents the way in which the EMF circulates around the electron. So this happens in anything that is powered. It isn't just related to sauna. It's related to a phone, a smartwatch, a hybrid car, a heated mattress, the lights in the ceiling, the power in the power lines. EMF is everywhere, and it's really important to understand that. Electromagnetic radiation, or EMR, is where the EMF, electromagnetic field, is causing a thermogenic effect in what it's passing through. In simple terms, the EMF heats up your body. This is where using a phone for more than 15 minutes has been shown to increase the temperature of the head. That is, EMR impacting the cells and having a measurable increase in temperature in the affected area. This is not good. An important item to note is that EMF exposure is related to your proximity to the item that is creating the EMF. The EMF exposure of a phone is much greater when it's here compared to when it's here, where in fact there's no measurable EMF on the head at that distance. The type of EMF and EMR that we need to pay close attention to is the high energy stuff. Stuff like Wi-Fi, like microwaves, telecommunications. What is important is limiting the amount of time we are in close proximity to these devices. Problems start to occur in the body when we spend long durations nearby to these EMR causing devices. Sleeping is often where EMF and EMR issues can proliferate as we spend such a large amount of our day in the same spot, sleeping right next to some of these things. Sleeping with your phone under your head, sleeping near power points. I go out of my way to eliminate the number of electronic devices near my bed. There are companies that specialize in doing this for entire homes, in fact, companies like GeoVital. It's when we're in constant proximity to EMF and EMR that EMF becomes a factor that needs to be considered. Children are also specifically susceptible to the effects of EMF and EMR too. Studies have shown that exposure to cell phones for extended periods of time actually hinders cell and DNA function and reduces the cell's ability to detox heavy metals. Children also absorb a greater amount of microwave radiation than adults too. In other words, the thermogenic effects are greater and wreak more havoc. So please, reduce the amount of time your children spend on devices like phones. So now that we've been to class and we understand the mechanics and the physics behind EMF and the way that it works, let's look at some daily household items. Let's look at the saunas and see how these products stack up. The first thing to know about EMF is it was discovered by James Maxwell based on a foundational knowledge by Johann Gauss, which is why when we measure EMF in a sauna or anywhere, it's always measured in Gauss or milligauss specifically. So what I have here is a Trifield Meter, which measures EMF when an item is placed in front here. So what I have here are a couple daily used items. Pretty common one nowadays is the smartwatch. This is mine, so I hope I'm not getting fried with EMF. If you come and have a look here, you can see if I just click her on, switch it over. Kind of varies depending on whether the watch is being used or not. Here I've got some wireless headphones. If I turn those on, move it around. Here we are in a hybrid car, and when we go in the back here, we see it starts to spike a little bit compared to when we're in the front. Reason being is the battery for the hybrid motor is under here. Moving into the sauna. The key is to always actually make sure that the sauna is heating. It's very easy to turn the sauna off and do a measurement, but if it's not heating, there's no electrons moving through the parts, and therefore, of course, there's not going to be any EMF. So turn the sauna on. There we go. It's heating, and as we can see here, nice and low. Moving over here. There we are, over here. It's around 1. So I hope that explains a little bit about the context on daily used items around what sort of EMF we're generally expecting. Guidelines and legislation. The US Environmental Protection Agency recommends limiting your exposure from 0.5 milligauss to 2.5 milligauss. They're going to explain that from 3 feet, a microwave can expose you to up to 25 milligauss. This is actually a good recommendation. The Australian Radiation Protection and Nuclear Safety Agency, on the other hand, or the ARPANSA, suggests that scientific evidence does not establish that exposure to the electric and magnetic fields around the home cause health effects. This couldn't be further from the truth. Unfortunately, when it comes to EMF, the guidelines are very loose. As with most areas related to health, the government is at the disposal of the businesses who are fit to make money from this stuff. Do Telstra or Vodafone want the rollout of 5G, a product that will be a powerful selling tool for them, to be slowed down in being rolled out? Absolutely not. It's these big companies that have an impact on the legislation, guidelines and recommendations that we receive from the government bodies. The key is to do your own research, which you are.
The important thing to remember with EMF is whether it's 0.5 milligauss or whether it's 50 milligauss, it's really the long exposure that's going to have effects over a fairly decent amount of years. A short exposure to 0.5, 1, 3, 10 milligauss isn't going to have long-term effects on the body, and in fact, you probably won't even notice. You're probably in some sort of EMF field right now, to be honest. And so what I fear is whether it be with a sauna or any form of technology in our life, we may miss out on the benefits that that technology has to offer because we're worried about EMF. In reality, in the world, when we're dealing with petrol fumes, heavy metals in our food, pesticides, herbicides, we're dealing with many more toxins that could have a far greater effect on our health every day compared with perhaps some EMF that may potentially have no measurable effect over time, once or twice a week. We've got to remember that although technology has a lot of these negative side effects, especially when we get into social media and mental health, technology has a lot of positive impact on our life too. We are more connected than ever before in good ways. It's easier to communicate with the people that we love that are far away. Chatting with someone on Skype is like, is this even real? It's amazing technology. The way that our phones integrate with our life and our calendars, it's just something that's really important to me and helps me be more purposeful in the world. And so I wouldn't want someone experiencing EMF or being worried about EMF and missing out on a technology that may help them. For our clients, they come to us because they want to reduce pain, lose weight, and sleep better, as well as detox and re-energize. And the sauna is the tool, the amazing health tool that lets them do that. And I wouldn't want them being scared away by a bit of fear-mongering about something that perhaps doesn't make a difference when that exact thing might be happening to them every night, every time they're in the car, every time they walk to school. When it comes to EMF, it's important to do your research and be aware, just the way it's important to be aware with all aspects and factors that may affect our health positively or negatively. I'm really thankful that you tuned in. I hope this video has been really helpful. What we've covered in this video is a bit of the background and the science, the history of EMF and what it actually is. I hope you've actually got some answers now and a bit of a better understanding. We've also covered some of the daily technologies and devices that we use that also have EMF, and we've measured the EMF of a couple of those devices like headphones, a smartwatch, and of course our beautiful, lovely saunas. I've also covered a little bit about the guidelines, and I hope they shed some insight into not just the way that government and legislation affects our beliefs and understandings on EMF, but also with other things to do in the real world to do with health. As always, thank you for tuning in. I'm very grateful. I hope this video has been very helpful. If you have any further questions about electromagnetic field, EMR, or anything to do with getting your health back on track and sauna, please get in touch. We'd love to help. Have a great day.